disability, or cannot self-evacuate, please proceed to stairwell D or E for assistance by MTA staff or emergency personnel. An automated external defibrillator, AED, for use by trained personnel is in the main hallway just past the elevators. If you need assistance during an evacuation, please tell an MTA staff member or emergency personnel. Thank you and have a safe day.
I could see that we have some public speakers this morning, so let's begin.
Good morning. Welcome to the MTA September New York City Transit Committee meeting. We have 18 members of the public registered to speak today. As a reminder, we ask all public speakers to adhere to the MTA's rules of conduct and decorum. I'd like to also remind our speakers that in the interest of time and fairness to all, we will limit everyone to 2 minutes. Please be aware that there will be a warning beep when you have 30 seconds left to conclude your remark. Our first speaker today will be Murray Bowden, followed by Howard Birnbaum.
Morning. Basically came this morning to say goodbye. This is probably my last meeting here. I've been coming here a long time. Have a lot of professional friends. I have a lot of confidence in you as leaders. I've watched both of you for a long time, and I think you're going to move forward in a direction that needs to be done. I've been speaking to these meetings for a long time. Used to get things done. Right now, they're not listening. And if I have a suggestion that's worth exploring, not necessarily implementing, I think they ought to meet with me and say if they decided they're not going to meet with me. So if I can't move anything forward, there's really no sense in me coming here. I really feel that it was important to thank all of those professional friends over the years who have helped me get things done. The MTA is moving in a good direction. There are little things that you don't notice that I notice because I go around so many places. We're in the hands, this agency is in the hands of good people. I have great confidence in you. Thank you for the opportunity to come and have so many professional friends. It's been a pleasure. But it's time to pass on to somebody younger. The younger generation has to take over, and my generation has to just get out of the way. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker will be Howard Birnbaum, followed by Yuki Endo.
Good morning. I came here today to let you know that when the day of your vote on the board votes on the Queens bus resign, wherever you do, I want to request for you to put back on the list the Q73 people who live in Queens. I can have to take 3 buses to get to college. It's too much for them. I was wondering could we stay the Q73 and also to put on the Guaya link from the Guaya Depot. How come the Q70 had free rides to the airport? It's time for you to put down fare back on for people to start paying, and also to let you know on the south side of Queens Boulevard, on the corner of Woodhaven, the Q60 and the 59 used to stop there. Now we have to walk half a block down to pick it up. I just want to let you know. Thank you for your time and have a good day.
The next speaker is Yuki Endo, followed by Jack Connors. Not seeing Yuki, we'll move on to Jack Connors.
Good morning. I'm Jack Connors, Research and Communications Associate at PCAC, the Permanent Citizens Advisory Committee to the MTA. The new capital plan brings with it the promise of 60 new subway elevators, but only if Albany and the legislature identify $34 billion in new funding. a figure that climbs to almost $50 billion without congestion pricing. That's more than most states' entire budget, and larger than several states' GDP. Making the accessibility picture even more challenging, Governor Hochul's congestion pricing pause has pumped the brakes on 23 ready-to-go ADA upgrades at 23 subway and Staten Island rail stations in all 5 boroughs, plus 2 LIRR stations. That's hurting riders in the here and now, like my 89-year-old grandmother, who had to volley with several flights of stairs just to score her honey deuce at the U.S. Open earlier this month at Mets Willets Point. We were proud to join a coalition of groups to canvass all 23 of these subway stations 2 weeks ago. What did we hear? Riders are tired of waiting. The greatest city in the world deserves a world-class transit system. The MTA is charting a course towards more accessible stations, new rolling stock, new fare gates, and faster, more reliable service thanks to state of good repair work. But that can't happen if Governor Hochul is intent on relitigating the past instead of looking towards the future. Governor Hochul, haven't riders waited long enough? It's time to unpause the pause, follow the law, and set a start date for congestion pricing. On another note, it's great that automated camera enforcement, ACE, is coming to 1,000 more buses on 20 more routes in all 5 boroughs by the end of this month. To anyone afraid of receiving a ticket, I offer this sage advice. If you're not a bus, stay out of the damn bus lane. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move over to Zoom now, and we'll recall Yuki Endo, followed by Ian Martin. Yuki, please accept the prompt to unmute. Please begin your remarks.
Yeah, and then is you cannot cover from the cover Japan, the person that United and New York City doesn't. I feel sorry for the everyone that suffer on the train, and then every time the police local police also should work together to enforce no surfing on the anti-subway buses train, including the usual turned connected data bus train and the anti-network Long Island data. And then also I feel for the bus driver, a bus driver that got involved in shooting. And then also please don't cut the kill 102 bus on the Queens bus network design, because that is no important lifeline for this island. And thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Ian Matthews, followed by Christopher Greif.
All right.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we'll restart your time.
Okay, sorry.
Please go ahead.
I'll try and make it short. Good morning. While I'm glad to see fair enforcement is up, I do still have a bit of concerns like on the B and D lines in the Bronx, where I'm seeing like a lot of people going through emergency gates. It's mostly at stations where there's no booths, and I feel like we could do more enforcement there. In fact, just this morning, I noticed someone was holding open the gate and there was no police around. Also, regarding the 4 train going local overnight. It would be nice if the train would actually say local, because a lot of times I see it, it says express, even though it's going fully local. In fact, just this morning, there were 2 trains signed as express, even though they were going fully local. That doesn't sound right. So that should be fixed and looked into. Otherwise, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker will be Christopher Greif, followed by Daniel Redden.
Yes, sorry about that. Good morning. I'm Christopher D. Grive. As an advocate for people with disability, we definitely need to work on a lot of accomplished things for this coming fall. For starters, we definitely need those security guards at certain stations, not just in one borough, but all the certain transfer connections. Port Authority, Times Square, Penn Station. We do see them sometimes at Atlantic, but we do need to see them in all directions, in all places. At the same time, also, we're very glad to see that more accessibility is coming in onto all transit systems. But at the same time, also, we hope to see more things coming into the near future. And I hope that the chief who's hearing me, we definitely want to thank the NYPD who has been there, but at the same time, you can't be everywhere. But we do need the guards to please make sure to protect the gates for seniors and people with disabilities, baby strollers, and our veterans today and all times. Thank you very much and have a great day.
Thank you. The next speaker is Daniel Redden, followed by Tareem Nadeem.
Good morning. My name is Daniel Redden. I'm a CUNY student and also a USS representative. And I live in Brownsville. The L train Sutter stop is a train I take every single day. And what happened a couple weeks ago was something that put fear in my heart. Something that could have happened to me very easily. As a CUNY student who commutes to school and takes a train every single day, someone that doesn't always have the ability to pay the fare, someone who uses it and relies upon it, I can't fathom that it can possibly happen to me, that it happens so close to home. And I want to advocate today for free Metro cards for all CUNY students. It doesn't make sense how throughout our entire public school history, our entire life as students growing up in New York City, we have access to free Metro cards, access to getting to classes safely and on time. And then once we get to college, we're left out. We're forgotten. There isn't an investment into the next workforce, the next generation. There isn't a vote of faith, even if it is just a vote of faith, right? We would love to hear that, feel that we need that support. The cost of everything is going up, and we're barely staying alive. I know people who can't even put their hands on $2,000 right now. So to pay for subway fare, to see what could happen if I don't, it's scary. And I want you guys to understand that. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker will be Tareem Nadeem, followed by John Morales.
Good morning. My name is Tareem Nadeem, and I am architecture major at New York City College of Technology, expected to graduate in 2026. I choose to attend CUNY because of its accessibility, diverse program, and cost effectiveness. As a college student, my career goal is to become an architecture at a leading design firm. My experience at CUNY has been mixed by both positive and challenging moments. One significant challenge I have faced is managing the financial strain and logistic difficulties associated with commuting to campus while balancing my academic workload. I currently commute to my campus by subway, and I believe that CUNY students should receive unlimited Metro card because it would significantly reduce the financial burden of daily travel, and improve accessibility of education and civic activities. The challenge I face while commuting, including high cost of fare, unreliable service, and the long commute issues, which can make balancing academic responsibility even more difficult to address. These issues, I would like to see implementation of a universal MetroCard program for CUNY students, along with more frequent and reliable transit service. Thank you for your time and consideration. I appreciate opportunity to provide my input on this important issue and hope that we can work together to better support CUNY students and transportation needs. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is John Morales, followed by Josiah Amasar.
Is this a microphone? Okay. I am better improvising, but I have written down my thoughts. I am John Morales, a mechanical engineering major at La Guardia Community College and international student, scheduled to graduate in spring 2025. I chose CUNY for its affordability, and I am passionate about public service. However, my daily commute from Howard Beach to Long Island City using both bus and subway is time-consuming and financially burdensome. In recent discussions about enhancing student accessibility, perhaps the idea of introducing unlimited MetroCards for CUNY students has come up. Imagine the positive impact this initiative could have not just on students, but on the MTA itself. By investing in our future leaders, the MTA has the opportunity to cultivate a loyal customer base of 233,000 students and growing that could benefit operations for generations to come. Consider the potential for increased ridership during off-peak hours. This initiative could generate additional revenue, optimizing the transit system's use while reducing congestion during peak times. Moreover, the MTA's proactive support of student commuters can significantly enhance its public image, aligning the agency with education and community development. The University Student Senate of City University of New York, which is who I am representing today, is promoting the CUNY Commuter Student Grant Pilot Program. This proposal considers a breakdown by student population to launch a pilot program that provides free MetroCards to students and has a larger eligibility than the current alternative, which is ASAP. Additionally, this strategy could lead to positive media coverage and new community partnerships, enhancing the MTA's role as a vital component of New York City's educational landscape. It could open avenues for collaboration with nonprofits, educational institutions, and striving to uplift students and bolster their academic success. I urge you to consider these profound benefits of this initiative, and I thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. The next speaker will be Josiah Amasar, followed by Andy Pollock.
Good morning, board members. It's Josiah Ramasar, and I am a second-year law student at the CUNY School of Law. Today, I'm here on behalf of the University Student Senate, and I'm here to echo the same message that you heard from my peers. I'm a New York native from Jamaica, Queens, and I've lived here my whole life, and I've been taking public transportation a majority of my life. I've been in CUNY since 2019, where I started off at the Borough Manhattan Community College, which is where I still work, and my goal after law school is to become a public defender in order to help underrepresented New Yorkers. I commute to school and my job at CUNY. I work at the Black Male Initiative at the Borough Manhattan Community College, and it's weekly I hear from students that they're either being stopped by police or being given $100 tickets simply for not having a MetroCard. There is no reason why a student who is trying to better themselves should not have access to a MetroCard. Unlimited MetroCards for students would significantly improve both their personal and academic goals. Students should not have to fear being stopped by police for simply trying to get an education. A $100 fine on top of already having to pay for tuition, bills, and food is an extreme stress for anyone, but especially students who are most vulnerable. I thank you all for your time today. Free MetroCards for CUNY is the way to go, and thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker will be Andy Pollock, followed by Maddie Bucky Highland.
Good morning, everyone. Andy Pollock, Passengers United. So 2 things we're going to discuss for this month. Number one, what happened at Sutter Avenue last Sunday on the L line was completely unfortunate. My organization has seen the 16-minute video on the NYPD's YouTube channel, and we do agree with top NYPD brass that the actions taken on that day were appropriate. If you see the video for yourself, you will see the suspect lunging at one of the police officers, and the justified use of action was appropriate. So subway fare collection is important. Trying to get that fare box revenue is very important, especially because later on today, I will be further elaborating on the capital program that will last until 2030. And the last thing I want to discuss this month, I do not want to have to wake up on a Sunday morning and see the daily news discuss yet again another subway surfing fatality. With TikTok, with Instagram promoting this dangerous behavior, it is time for Meta, and especially TikTok, start regulating the content that is posted onto these platforms that are targeting these children and are encouraging this behavior. Because again, I've said it time and time, the amount of times that subway surfing incidents occur, you're not only putting yourself in danger, but again, you're costing people their time and you're costing people money. And especially how you could cost people time to get to their job and possibly somebody gets fired because of subway surfing. So that's what I'm going to say for this month. Goodbye, everyone. And I will speak later this afternoon at the Capital Program Oversight Committee.
Our next speaker will be Maddie Bucky's Highland, followed by David Kupferberg.
Thank you, Kate, and good morning, friends. I'm Matty W. Bucky's Highland. For today, I want to speak about safety and accessibility. For safety, my thoughts go out to those who fought hard last week on the L train from Brooklyn as an officer had to deploy his taser at the suspect. Once called, this ain't California or New York, according to Sheriff Wayne Ivey of Brevard County, Florida. Safety really is a top priority. And accessibility, I wanted to speak at this last month, but I was too late to sign up. And accessibility, people with disabilities like myself and others are left out in the spotlight. Well, it's great to see that new elevators will be coming to the capital program and have 95% accessibility by 2055. I'll be in my 50s by then. Progress makes perfect, as well as you make. As we celebrate Disability Pride Month last month, sorry, we have to understand that people with disabilities should be considered as everybody else. Well, I really want to join an ADA task force with the Metropolitan Transportation Authority. I gotta see how it does with my busy schedule. With that being said, friends, I hope to see everybody very soon, and God bless each one of you. Kate, over to you.
Our next speaker will be David Kupferberg, followed by Cassie Rafucci.
Hi, my name is David Kupferberg, Vice President of Bus Advocacy, Passengers United. I heard that New York City Transit is not only having trouble hiring and maintaining bus drivers, it is having trouble maintaining the bus fleet. According to AM New York and Staten Island Borough President Vito Fossell's office, on September 2nd to 6th, of the approximately 796 buses needed each weekday to operate service in Staten Island, more than 300 average were out of service. As a result, many runs are being canceled, leaving people and students stranded. In fact, on September 12th, of the 21 buses scheduled to pick up students during the afternoon from Wagner High School, only 7 showed up. Passengers United has received reports that 150 buses recently have been transferred from Queens to Staten Island, turning riders in both boroughs. MTA, instead of cracking down on overtime, pay the mechanics to meet service needs. Such a situation should never have happened. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Cassie Rafucci, followed by Salamato Dumboya.
Good morning, Commissioner Maholtes, President Crescio, and Transit and Bus Committee members. My name is Cassie Rafushi, and I'm a member of Passengers United. I would like to address the situation which took place on Thursday, September 19th. My friend had to wait an hour for his express bus, the Sim 10, to go back home to Staten Island. This was due to the UN General Assembly preparations taking place in town for the whole week. I felt it was unacceptable that my friend had to wait an hour for the bus. I understand that the UN General Assembly is in town for the whole month and whole week, but it's not fair to any Staten Island Express bus commuter having to wait an hour for an express bus for them to take them back home to Staten Island. It's extremely, totally unacceptable. And I also would like to echo back on the CUNY students who spoke previously about having unlimited MetroCards. I feel to me that all CUNY students have a right to have unlimited MetroCards. There could be people that have a tight budget, but they cannot have the money to pay their fare to attend school or go to work. So I would really consider CUNY students having unlimited MetroCards. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next speaker will be Salamato, followed by Akeem Pollock.
Greetings all, my name is Salimatu Doumbouya and I am the chairperson of the University Student Senate. You just heard from members of my team. I go to the New York City College of Technology where I served as a student government president, and I have been chair of USS for the past 3 years, which means I won 3 elections and this is my last term. When we decided to take on the initiative to advocate for free MetroCards for CUNY students, we took into considerations that there are some opportunities on the campuses for students, but not for all students. We are grateful for ASAP and all of these other programs, but we just need more. When we started this initiative, did our research, came up with our first proposal, we were told reduce the student population, which we did. We were told come up with a specific dollar amount, which we did. We were able to do our homework in order to be in front of CUNY administration or the city council. We went to the legislature and we said, look, listen, this is something that is really needed and it is something that we're really fighting for. Today we're here and we're still talking about free MetroCards for CUNY students, and we really mean for all students. I have heard, unfortunately, education is a choice. Going to college is a choice. Yes, it is a choice, but it is a choice that ultimately benefits our entire city, and we feel like we should be encouraged for making this choice to be better people for our amazing city, for the amazing state, and for this amazing country. I am an architecture major. I am graduating in the spring of 2025, and then I'm planning to go to grad school to pursue a PhD in urban planning. We want to serve, we want to be useful, and what we're asking for you is to take that into consideration and make our lives easier. You would be very surprised at the amazing stories and the saddest stories that you hear at CUNY. CUNY students do deserve free MetroCards the same way you give free Omni to our high school counterparts. We think it's great, and we think that you should expand it. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Akeem Pollock, followed by Kinza Arshad.
Hello, good day, everyone. I'm Akeem, and I'm a student at York College in Queens. And basically just echoing the sentiments of my counterparts, I'm also a part of the University Student Senate, and we're joining in this call for free MetroCards for all CUNY students. Listen, I took the liberty of going through LinkedIn, seeing a lot of the leaders in MTA. A lot of them are CUNY alums. They understand the struggles of being a broke college student. You know, it's hard. And the fact that MTA serves New York City, CUNY serves New York City, why not work together and help the less vulnerable, the people who cannot afford it? It will benefit the city at the end of the day. That's the reality. You know, if you have an educated workforce, a next set of generation that's ready to work, they're educated at the highest level, the highest degree, I'm telling you, a lot of our problems can be solved. Just today alone, I was traveling here and I was late because the 5 train decided to cancel and tell all passengers to exit. And the lady said that we don't know why, but you just have to leave the train. We left the train, we had to wait for over 20 minutes for a fourth train to come for me to get here that was also delayed. I've been traveling for over an hour. It is crazy. And these are things an educated workforce, educated students can come to the board and fix. So I think you should really consider investing in free Metro cards for your CUNY students so they can stay here instead of going out to the country, finding better opportunities elsewhere, helping other economies where New York City really needs to be fixed a little bit more. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Kinza Arshad, and the final speaker will be Jason Anthony. Thank you. Our final speaker today will be Jason Anthony.
Good morning. I was supposed to be virtual from Richmond County at work, but due to an unfortunate incident that occurred on Friday, I had to be in person. At Friday at 1500 hours at Port Authority Bus Terminal, yours truly was a victim of an assault by a person who committed theft of service. I'm going to repeat that again. Theft of service. And for my CUNY comrades, you guys didn't know that a board member named David Jones fought for the Fairfax Metro card that I have in my hands. That I have. Why can't you guys take advantage of it? Because I have seen people jump through the turnstiles.
Jason.
Many times. Through the times that I live in the city. Now I'm a victim of this vicious crime with no police presence. I'm sick of it.
Thank you, Jason. Chair, that concludes this month's remarks.
Thank you to all the public for their comments today. We are still waiting for a quorum, so we're going to move on right to the President's report. President Critchlow, please take it away. Try to follow that. I would have to follow. I think you can do it. We'll see. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. It's been a really busy summer at New York City Transit. From start to finish, it's been pretty exciting. We've done a number of different things on different fronts. Bus lane enforcement, major expansions to Omni, and the successful completion of the G-Train pilot. So there's a lot going on, but also a lot to be proud of. So today, this day marks my 100th day as interim president for New York City Transit. Look, I got one person clapping. Thank you. No, I'm good. We're good. Listen, it's been an amazing time so far. I love this job more because I get to spend time with people in the field, and that just keeps getting better with time. I've had the privilege of getting out into the field with each of the agency, each of the groups, each of the departments, whether it's buses, subways. I had a great time with the security team, paratransit. It's been pretty special. But I've also had a great opportunity to get out there and speak to some of our customers, to talk about things that we could be doing differently, things we could be doing better, and it spans beyond where we are right now. So it's giving a lot of opportunity for us to move forward, to look for where we need to move forward. I could say without question, the last 100 days have given me a passion that that we can do things better, and we have so much opportunities to do that. So it's exciting to be able to consider what the future holds. So one of the things that we did for September, we turned the page on summer, and the city, as it bustles back to life, school, kids out of houses and into the schools again. So it was pretty exciting to be able to welcome our students, not just back to their classrooms, but also to a new payment, new form of fare payment. So the Omni cards was a big upgrade to where they were before. They're just easier to use. The feedback that we got from students was phenomenal. A lot of work went on just to be able to get the cards out there. 1.5 million cards. So headquarters, transit, teams across the agencies work extremely hard to try to just get the cards in the hands of all of those schools throughout the boroughs. And that's just for them to have them in place for day one so that students can take advantage of it. This culminated a very exciting first week of school in Williamsburg. As you can see, I joined city leaders to give students a well-deserved high five on their first day to celebrate this exciting transition. And just in terms of the numbers, last week, Thursday, we saw 476,000 daily rides from student Omni cards. This represents a 26% year-over-year growth in total student rides. So students are responding to having a different form of payment. I think it's a great opportunity to take a step back and talk about the things that we have done to make sure that those who have the challenges in paying the fares have been given as much opportunity as possible. So, transit has done a great job at making sure that we are advocating, putting out there our reduced fare programs. Our agents have been trained specifically to be able to talk to people who have challenges, financial challenges, and talk about the reduced fare programs. We've partnered with the city for fare fairs, and we once a month we have opportunities for the city and our folks to meet at customer service centers at different locations throughout the city to offer fare fairs. But it does give an opportunity for people who don't have the financial means, who fit in that category, to be able to have access to public transportation at a discounted rate. The second piece is there is, without question, a CUNY Omni card. We're very proud of the partnership with the CUNY institution to be able to provide a opportunity for students who are part of the ASAP ACE program. And for those who have financial aid, students now have access to Omni cards, and CUNY is the one that determines the parameters of those who would be receiving them. So, if there are those who are in need of that resource, happy to further the discussion with CUNY, but they are the ones that determine those who would meet the criteria for it. But that does not prohibit someone from applying for a Fair Fares program. So the other thing that we talked about was the G train. The G train shutdown was an exciting one, and one that many people went into with a level of trepidation. When we began the three-phase, 9-week shutdown in June, we promised customers two things. One was that we would restore service on time, and the second thing was that we would provide them with the best service possible during that period while they were out. And I'm happy to say that we were able to deliver on both fronts. A huge part of that success was doing things differently. And so we created a G-Train czar, Hugo Zamora, who spent time tying the pieces together, not just subways, not just bus, but seeing how our commuter rides and how we could change it. Are there better signage that we should be doing from street level? Can we be better managing our shuttles? What issues do we have even on the streets themselves that we can coordinate with either DOT or NYPD? So there were a lot of lessons learned by utilizing this particular structure, and I'm happy to announce that the next exciting project that Hugo is going to be taking on will be the Rockaway Viaduct project on the A line. A very complicated program. It's going to take a good period of time, and we're happy that Hugo is going to be spearheading a lot of the efforts to make sure that you, the customer, have someone that is speaking for you. So, before I pass it off to the team to talk about the performance metrics, I just want to note that when I became the interim president, I decided to rotate the senior vice president role, and just to give an idea of the talent that we have throughout the organization, and I'm very proud of the team that we have there. Lisa Schreibman was the first to act as the senior vice president and has done an amazing job in the past 3 months, taking the operation by the helm, being responsive to our customers, and continuing our upward stride in hitting the performance targets. So very proud of Lisa and appreciative for her leadership through the summer months. And the next up would be Mandeep Lally. He is currently the executive vice president in Subways. And so you'll get the opportunity to meet with Mandeep, and we'll turn it over to Lisa.
Thank you, Demetrius. For the month of August, the key performance indicators for the Department of Subways were very much as they were in July. The customer journey time was 84.7%, and on-time performance was 81.8%. Both measures were the same in August and July, and both were above the average for the year. Weekend on-time performance was 84.1%, down modestly over July, and service delivered was 93.9%, up modestly over July. In addition to these key performance indicators, I want to mention that we have opened the Customer Service Center at Parkchester on the 6 line and expanded the Customer Service Center at Roosevelt Avenue in Queens since the last time the board met. All CSCs are now complete. This past weekend, we installed platform barriers at Myrtle Wyckoff on the L, bringing the total number of stations with such barriers to 10. Also of note, Dom Gallo, who is the head of MOW, was named Man of the Year by the Columbia Society this past Friday, and he is a really great asset to the Department of Subways. I want to thank the entire team for supporting me through the last 3 months. It is because of them and the 30,000 employees of Subways that we get to give such reports. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Lisa, and it's been a pleasure working alongside with you. So for buses, performance in August remained stable in all key areas as compared to July. The weather impacted performance a bit. As New York, we saw one of the hottest summers and one of the wettest, actually the 4th wettest August on record. So throughout this hot and rainy summer, the team continued to diligently manage equipment and bus operator availability challenges, and despite those, the team was able to deliver 96% service delivery. 96% trips were delivered, and delivered 94% service and 73.2% customer journey time performance. This month, the bus team expanded our ACE program for vehicles violating bus lanes, double parking, and blocking our bus stops. As a reminder, in June, we activated 14 bus routes with ACE. These routes began issuing violations on August 19th, following the 60-day warning period. On September 16th, we activated an additional 10 routes, which are currently in their 60-day warning period. And at the end of September, we will activate another 10 routes, bringing the total to 34 routes and over 1,000 ACE-equipped buses throughout the bus system. So once again, our message to the public remains clear. Do not block buses, stay out of bus lanes and bus stops, and do not double park along our routes. And lastly, the bus family held our bus rodeo this past weekend at Orchard Beach with over 700 employees in attendance and family members. The rodeo allows our employees to showcase their skills in a spirited and friendly competition to see who's the best of the best. We had nearly 100 employees participate in various competitions. The top performers will get a chance to represent the MTA at the 2025 APTA International Rodeo, where they will compete against the best in the nation. And this time, we're going to win it. And I want to thank my entire team for the hard work and efforts they put in. Takes to have this event, and we want to thank the support of President Critchlow. So thank you very much, and I will turn it over to Rachel.
Thank you, Frank, and good morning, everyone. It was a very busy summer for paratransit. Access-Ride customers really didn't take a break in July and August, and neither did our team. We continue to move more than 1 million customers a month, exceeding our pre-COVID ridership. And thanks to the work of the entire paratransit team, we're doing so with historically high performance as well. Our focus remains on delivering consistent, reliable service to that growing ridership, and I'm happy to report positive results in this area for the month of August in particular. Our on-time performance met and exceeded our goals for August, with more than 97% of our trips picked up in the 30-minute window, and 94% of trips picked up in the 20-minute window, our more aggressive and customer-friendly goal. Weekend service was a particular high point, as was the performance of our brokers, who continue to provide a great option for efficient paratransit service. In addition, we continue to closely monitor no-shows, which are well under our 3 per 1,000 goal, to ensure that every paratransit customer gets picked up and taken where they need to go in a timely fashion. Looking ahead, I wanted to touch this month on the MyAAR web and online mobile app booking platform. We continue to enhance MyAAR, making it the fastest and easiest way to book and track paratransit trips. We're making it accessible to more Access-Ride customers and trips, and those investments are paying off, with more than 15% of our customers now using the app to book their trips. We're always taking customer feedback and iterating to further improve the app, making navigation easier and making it more visually accessible. Today, we're launching a new feature, which will make more than 1,000 trips a day eligible to be booked by app that were not before. So you can see we have a screenshot here of taxi authorization. So for our customers that like to take their own taxi or for-hire vehicle for qualified trips within their borough or to key transportation destinations, up until today, they had to call in for those trips. This morning, we're launching that feature on the app. So this is a great win-win. It gives customers another option for a faster way to book trips, and allows us to continue maximizing the folks in our call center so they can be there for people that have same-day service issues or really need the phone to book or track their trips. We're excited to see how customers use this new feature and continue to integrate the great MyAAR mobile app into their daily travel experience. Thank you.
Thank you, team. And back to you, Sammy.
Well, you jumped in 100 days. And I've been here long enough to know 100 days in MTA time is like, I don't know, what's the correction factor? Like at least 3 to 1. It's got to be at least 3 to 1. So, and it's great that, you know, with all the things keeping up, we know there's rough days, but there's been a lot of successes, and, you know, your team's doing great. So thank you, Demetrius. We now have a quorum. And for those of you who haven't noticed, I am not Heda. I'm substituting today. I think I broke a record this year for the most substitute chairmanships, so it's made a milestone too. Sub of the year. I'm going to take that. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to make a motion to approve the meetings from the July 2024 meeting. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Jones. All in favor? Any opposed? Abstentions? So moved. Am I correct? There are no changes to the work plan?
No, Chair.
Thank you. And we had to say we had the summer off would be lying. We did not have the summer off. We were very busy, focused on our capital program. And now we get to welcome President Jamie Torres Springer and Demetrius to give us an update on the MTA's 2025-29 capital plan, which was released last week. I'm sure everybody was up all weekend reading it. So where's Jamie? Jamie there? Oh, Jamie's all the way in there in the corner.
Here I
Take it
am.
away. I expect we'll see a lot of you today, Jamie.
You will, and we'll try to keep it. We'll try to make some unique presentations in each committee. But very pleased to be here. I'm here with Deputy Chief Development Officer Tim Mulligan, who's he and his team created this great plan that we released last week. Is being proposed to the board this week. We're going to provide some briefings in committees that are agency focused, and then for full information, and then bring it to the board for a full vote on Wednesday. So I just want to kick things off and give a little bit of background about how we got here in creating this plan, and then Demetrius is going to run through the New York City Transit specific components of this plan, and then of course we're here for questions from the committee. This is the 2025 to 2029 capital plan priorities. It is a $68.4 billion proposed plan. We're meeting the statutory requirement of creating a 5-year plan on that 5-year cycle, and it's due up to Albany on October 1st, which is why the board is being requested to act on it this week. We are focused, as we have been for some time, on how we provide frequent and reliable service by maintaining the system in a state of good repair. Also recognizing that we need to continue to improve our customer experience. Some of that happens by keeping the system in a state of good repair. Best example of that is rolling stock, rail cars. So we need to continue to invest in rail cars as they reach the end of their useful life so that we can keep running service. But obviously anyone who's been on R211 over the last few months recognizes that it's really an improvement to our customer experience as well. And then we are increasingly have our heads around the vulnerabilities of our system to climate change, and have proposed some specific measures to build resilience within the subway system in particular, as well as continue to invest in sustainability through the transition to an all-electric bus fleet. The way that we got to this plan, I think I went too far. The way we got to this plan was bottom up and top down. So we did this comprehensive 20-year needs assessment, which we released at the end of last year. It shows, obviously, that we have a vast system, 6 million component assets within that system. We're all inventoried and categorized in terms of their condition, whether they're in a state of good repair or not. And you can see this is just the vastness of the subway and bus system that we have in New York City. But the key things that we looked at really were our rolling stock, our buses and our subway cars that reach the end of their useful life. Quite a large number of them are reaching the end of their useful life over this next 5-year period. Our stations, in which conditions have improved a lot in a lot of aspects, including that we've been able to bring elevators and escalators up to a very good state of good repair in this last plan, but lots of other component parts need investment in order to maintain the quality of the stations and our ability to run service. Track and switches and signals, those are the fundamentals that keep this system working. And one things that we identified, which Demetrius will talk about our response to, is increasing risk around structural issues. The overhead track that runs 61 miles of it that runs throughout the 5 boroughs, throughout the system. Keeping that in a state of good repair is required to maintain structural integrity. And then our tunnels, we understand a lot better where the defects are in our tunnels. These are 100-year-old tunnels. They've been subjected to water inundation, chemical salt over many years, and these tunnels are built to last, but we have to keep investing in them where we see defects. And then a lot of back of house is also a focus, and very much a focus for New York City Transit. We have such a vast network that's required to run service every day, and we have to keep investing in it. The plan reflects that approach, and so it's really a state of good repair focused plan. You can see that in what kind of progress we project to make as a result of the investments recommended in this $68.4 billion plan. We are laser focused on what it takes to keep elements of the system in a state of good repair so that they don't fail and we can continue to run service, and then to catch up. I mean, and we've been saying for the last week, a lot of investments have not been made at the scale that they need to be made. It's been sometimes has been typical to invest in the things that customers see first, the things that are related to the customer experience, and of course, there's very good reason for that. But in the meantime, the stuff that keeps the system running, power substations, fiber communications, station component, and structures, those have been left to deteriorate. And what this plan does in what you see in these bar charts is it makes progress toward a state of good repair in each of those critical components that maintain service. So you see the blue bar in each case by 2030, the end of this plan, expanding, meaning that we have more components in a state of good repair than we do today, even with, in some cases, some decay, because even as we invest in assets over the next few years, we'll see a decay in the condition of other assets. But even if that's the case, these fundamental assets that keep our system running are, we're making a lot of progress, and that's really a signature component of this plan. We also have looked from the top down at how to build the plan. We had a couple of independent reviews, a study by JP Morgan that showed that particularly if we're making progress towards state of good repair, we need to be investing $23 billion a year in the system when you compare us to other industrial asset peers. That's higher than what we've proposed. We are managing. There are constraints both in terms of total funding and also just how much work we can get done in the system and still run service. But that really shows us that we have to maintain that level of investment that we're talking about rather than scaling back. The comptroller released an independent review where they had a range, and we're right in the middle of the range. And similarly, when we look at the $55 billion 20 to 24 capital program that represents a lot of progress in this system, and we look at the 30% inflation that we've seen since 2020, we also are in that range of addressing inflation, maintaining the level of investment that we need to maintain. So this gives us a sense that the proposed investment is in the right order of magnitude, and with that, and that has yielded this capital program, which is $68.4 billion in total, $47.8 billion investment in New York City Transit, Staten Island Railway, and MTA bus. And you see that, and I'll pass it on to Demetrius in a moment, but you see the major categories of investment are investing in our stations, including ADA accessibility, as well as state of good repair, improving signal and communications, addressing power and structural issues, and then replacing and upgrading rolling stock. Those are the priorities for the program, which I speak back to the need that I've just described. And with that, I want to pass it on to Demetrius to talk through some of the highlights and components of what's in the New York City Transit Plan.
Thank you, Jamie, and completely appreciate the partnership with the C&D team. Tim, your team have been extremely great at being able to determine the needs, work with the operating groups to make sure that we give a better product to our customers. So very grateful for that partnership. I've said it before, to me, that there's really two pillars for success, and it really is based upon our safety and service. Anything that's supportive of that or comes out of that is ultimately what our customers really want and what they really need. This plan will help to keep our system in a state of good repair. And, they covered some of the Jamie covered some of the points on the infrastructure changes, which we are without question passionate about. But our customers continue to say they want better service. They want us to deliver, and that means making sure that this plus a century-old system gets what it needs to be able to keep running. And so I'll quickly run through some of the changes, some of the adds to this plan, which are pretty positive for our customers. So the plan helps us to upgrade our rolling stock. We'll be replacing 40-plus-year-old cars to increase reliability. Over 1,500 subway cars, and we're going to be retiring the R62s and R68 fleets, both which are from the 1980 era. So in terms of lines, you can expect those cars currently run on the 1, 3, 6, B, D, N, Q, and W. So as we start to roll this out, it's going to be pretty exciting for people who start seeing new cars come into their line. So we have some time to get there, but just know that we see you. These cars are 6 times more reliable than the aging cars that they will replace. And as Jamie mentioned at our capital plan announcement, it's in order to fully install CBTC on these lines, we must purchase these cars to be able to get there because they are what is compatible in order to run CBTC. So speaking of CBTC, replace the oldest, least reliable signals to improve service for our customers. We're upgrading over 75 miles of subway signals on the Broadway line, Liberty and Rockaway lines, which includes the A and Rockaway shuttle, and the Nassau line for the J and Z. As we frequently have talked about, service on the 7 and the L, which currently has CBTC, is the premier performance that we have in our system, and we have CBTC to thank for that. We're looking forward to expanding that throughout the system because the benefits just benefit our customers, and we're grateful for that. As a former deputy general manager on the airline, I saw firsthand what happens when we modernize the system. I'll say, being a old-time transit person, sometimes the change is difficult, and sometimes you may not be the strongest supporter, not knowing the outcome. But having seen it firsthand and watched the performance increase to what it has, I am a believer. So new signals led to a 23% increase in on-time performance on the 7 line. And this plan also addresses 2 of our most challenging bottlenecks in the system, decab and Nostrand interlockings, both areas that will yield great performance improvements for their segments. So we're also looking to improving our maintenance facilities. The public will never see these facilities, but these buildings are home for our workers and for our trains. And so we have to continue to support them like we do our homes. Upgrades to century-old shops and yards are required in order to keep this system running. Now, we're looking to do component repairs at other shops as well, but key elements are to modernize Livonia and 240th Street shops. It's not just about efficiency. It's not just because they're older, but the reality is, we talked about CBTC earlier, you need new cars, you need new signals on the tracks, but new communication on the tracks, but you need a new shop. It's not just about the pretty. Functionally, you are not able to maintain these new cars, the electronics in new cars, but also you don't have the space. There is no way to do AC repairs, HVAC repairs inside of Livonia's shop. It does not have the space above the train in order to do it. So we're looking forward to these upgrades, and we know that it's going to be extremely positive for our customers. So we have to keep the power systems running in order to avoid disruptions. This program plans to replace 66 substations, including at least 10 full renewals We'll be rehabilitating circuit breaker houses and other infrastructure. It's key to note that 36% of New York City transit substations are in poor or marginal condition, and this plan addresses nearly all of them. For structures, much of our physical infrastructure runs through populated neighborhoods, and we have a responsibility to keep these structures in a state of good repair. This plan repairs compromised components to avoid closures to tunnels, bridges, and viaducts. We look to paint and waterproof more than 20 miles of elevated subway, and then repair defects in subway tunnels serving the A, C, B, D, F, G, N, R. You name the letter and it applies there. So this plan also improves upon the customer experience. Rebuilding and making a priority repair at the 1/3 of our subway stations. Doing accessibility improvements for subway stations, and we'll talk about that in a further slide. Installing new fare gates, 150 new stations. Continuing to expand camera infrastructure. Installing new technology to communicate with our customers. For accessibility, the 2024 plan includes ADA stations, more ADA stations than the prior 3 combined. This plan builds upon that momentum. So these 2 plans are behemoths in terms of our ADA support for the community. They achieve a major milestone in the way of getting to a fully accessible system, and it makes at least 60 subway stations in all 5 boroughs accessible. We've named 30 in this document, and 30 are to be named after public engagement. So this plan also helps us to tackle the issue of fare evasion, which many people continue to talk about. It's top of mind at most of these meetings. Fare evasion is an existential threat to our system. We've been working night and day to see more progress on this issue. So this will install modern fare systems at 150 stations, serving 75% of our riders, allowing us to replace the exit gates, and those have been the superhighway of fare evasion. We've completed the RFI process on the fare gates of the future earlier this year, and the response was pretty encouraging. We're looking to improve accessibility and for customers, for all of our users. So this plan also targets climate change. We are rehabilitating 14 pump rooms. We talked about how much system, on a regular day when there is no rain, how much our system removes water from low grade. And so we're rehabilitating 14 pump rooms, implementing street level mitigations to keep water out of our system, and then boosting air circulation and ventilation in stations. For resilience, we know that the climate continues to change, and we need to change along with it. So we talked about the 14 pump rooms that are being rehabilitated, but also this includes a street mitigation to be able to keep water out of the system. This plan also aims to target zero-emission buses. We are purchasing 500 new zero-emission buses and upgrading depots with charging infrastructure. Right now, emissions from bus service represents 50% of all direct service emissions. So I think the reality is, after all is said and done, the proposed plan for the 2025 to 2029 capital plan outlines $68.4 billion worth of investments over the next 5 years to make sure New Yorkers continue to have access to reliable, accessible, and sustainable transit. I can say for one that I am excited about the changes that are proposed, what's coming down the pike, and happy to deliver upon our promise to providing a safe, world-class transportation system that our customers deserve. Thank you.
Before I open up to questions for Demetrius and Jamie, I'm going to take the privilege of the substitute chair of the rescheduled committee to be the first board member to speak to the importance of this capital program. You know, many of us served on a working group, did tours of, you know, this was, you know, it's been mentioned many times, there's not a lot of excitement. There may not be a lot of excitement from the public about, you know, viaducts, substations, signals. You don't see them. There's things you're not interact with, but you definitely feel the effects of them. You know, to see some of these, we're coming into, some of them are appropriate coming to October. Some of them can easily be set pieces for Halloween fan productions and are well past their due date. And appropriate also for upcoming Halloween season. My favorite term I've learned through this whole thing is decay curve. And that is a really important concept for everyone to understand. For many of these items, for every dollar we do not spend on many of these items that are included in this capital program, it will cost us many, 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 many dollars more to make good on that later on. So thank you to the team. A lot of work has gone on this collaboratively. And to both transit and for C&D. And with that, I'll open up to any other comments, questions from the board, committee. Dan?
Thank you. I think this may have been better at the end of one of the prior presentations, but I wasn't sure of the right moment, so I'm just going to go back to it if that's okay.
We held the privilege of redundancy here as board members, Dan.
Good. Okay. My questions, one, relate to the daily rides with the new Omni card and the increase, and the other relates to the tickets and the bus lanes. So the first is on the number that you cited of the 476,000 daily rides last Thursday, and the 26% growth. That's such a big number that I was wondering if you could say a little bit more about to what you feel like that is attributed.
Sure. I mean, I think there's been a couple things. The outreach from our teams and getting out there, working with the city, making sure that we are touching everyone in advance. I think that's been huge. We've done a lot of campaigns for our communication, making sure that folks know through our digital screens that this is coming. But I think there's been another piece, which is once they get the card, how do you enforce it, right? And so many students it's been kind of ingrained in them to go under the turnstile or to get on a bus, the rear of the bus, even when they have a form of payment in their hand or in their backpack. So the teams behind you, the teams that are out there in the field, have been literally going to these folks, trying to change their culture. And so it's been interesting watching people, as you see people that you saw the day before, students that you saw the day before that literally tried to get into the system for free, but now are tapping into the system. There is a sense of pride with them being able to pay for themselves. And so I think those are all contributing to more taps in the system.
Okay, thank you. Well, we'll look forward to seeing how that continues to operate. And on the bus lane, so it sounded like at the end of September, we either will be effective or noticed on 34 routes. Is that correct?
So at the end of September, we would actually start noticing the benefits of the first 14 and then begin to notice the benefits of the additional 10 that we launched earlier, right? And then we're going to launch an additional 34. So yeah, we will see the benefits. I think when in the 60-day warning period is when we really people get to learn to change their behaviors, because now they're starting to see those warnings in the mail, and then we see the benefits thereafter.
So just so I have the numbers right then, by the end of September, it's active in a certain number, we are noticing or warning in a certain number. Just give me those numbers one more time, just so I have them.
So currently for the ACE, we have 14 routes that are actually giving violations, sending out violations, right? They're past their 60-day period that began in June, right? Then we launched, at September 16th, we launched another 10 routes, right? And they began their 60-day warning period. And then by the end of September, we intend to launch an additional 10 routes that will begin to issue their 60-day warning periods.
Okay.
Okay.
And how many, I don't know if you have these numbers, but how many violations were actually issued on the 14 routes?
I don't have that detail right now, but we can provide that shortly.
Okay, and how many routes remain after you do the 14 and the 16 and then the additional 10?
So the plan throughout this entire program through end of 2028 is to, actually 2027, is to have a total of 90 routes and 3,000 buses.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Andrew?
Frank, I have a question on the ACE cameras. Are they high definition enough to identify ghost plates or plates that have flippers on them when they take these pictures?
So currently, that is not part of the technology to actually flag the ghost plates. That's something, we could certainly, or we will certainly look into. They do, with this technology, it does identify, though, the differences naturally of, what lane, whether it's in the lane or whatnot, whether it's a vehicle or not, so. But ghost plates are very difficult because sometimes it could be the trunks up in the air and whatnot, so.
Any other questions for Demetrius, C&D team? Okay, moving on. I know we're running into the next meeting. I'm going to hand it back to Demetrius for update on our efforts to address bus fare evasion.
All right, I'm going to be brief, if that's even possible. So fare evasion, we've talked about, is approaching 50% on buses. Essentially, 1 out of 2 customers is getting on a bus and not paying a fare, and realistically, that's just unsustainable to us. For context, the fare evasion rate on subways is somewhere around 13%. It's harder to solve on buses than subways, given the fact that we can't place turnstiles at this point on buses, and fare evasion on buses continues to grow. It has been something that has been hard to stem the tide, especially with opening the back door during the COVID period, and that just hasn't let up, and the trend has continued. So obviously you can see the trend going from Q1 of 2021 at 24% and then somewhere in Q1 of 2024 at 47%. It's steady on the increase. Now, one thing that we've started to do is we're deploying 2 strategies with our Eagle teams. They are an unarmed civilian fare enforcement personnel. I had to say, these group of individuals are nothing short of amazing. Like, the work that they do has been incredibly important to what this organization needs in order to sustain it. So there's 2 operations. The first portion of the operation is those in uniform. So if I could ask one of our amazing Eagle team members to stand up to show what the uniform looks like. Anyone, you guys are big, so. All right, so the first part, thank you, I appreciate it. The first part is having one of these large individuals stand in front of the door to block the doors, the rear ends of the door. It is a immediate, thank you folks, it is an immediate detraction from folks getting on to the rear of the doors. That's the overt operation. A more covert operation involves individuals that are getting on in plain clothes and riding several stops, and then noting who is getting on and evading the fare, and then getting to a central location where they're met with partners, which are NYPD, other plainclothes Eagle team members, and then they escort the individuals off the bus who evaded the fare. So that is targeting the problem with the culture of fare evasion, because people, when these large forces are there in uniform, generally they do not try to avoid the fare. But when they're not there, or they believe they're not there, they will go back to doing these bad habits. So the hope is that this will stem the tide. I think the interesting thing that I've seen from this team, and this team in particular, is their ability to be able to connect with people. And that was something that I didn't anticipate happening. Actually changing individuals when they speak to them, how we board the bus. I watch these individuals. This team here is one of the best that I've seen at what they do. Inviting individuals to come onto the front of the bus, pay their fare, and one individual stands at the rear of the bus, helps them load the bus properly, seating people in the back of the bus, making sure that they're not standing at the front and blocking entry. Just amazing. And then the communication between the Eagle team and the bus operators has been fantastic. Great feedback from all. So really, really appreciative of the efforts that this Eagle team has put in. It's amazing. It really is. If you haven't had the opportunity to see it firsthand, it's something to watch. David Jones.
I'm just wondering, how many buses have we been able to cover? How extensive? This is not an inexpensive investment.
So we started out with larger teams, and we just expanded by shrinking the size of each of the individual teams that are in uniform. So right now we're hitting about 80 different bus stops a week, and they do rotate at different times. And again, that's just what people see, the enforcement that's right there in your face. So with that, I'll turn it over to Frank, who will give a little bit of indication of what goes on the bus side to make sure that this is successful.
Thank you, and I'll try to be brief. But, as we embark on these various fare enforcement strategies for the bus operations team, we're engaged and we're committed to the success of these efforts. And for us, it's as simple as getting back to basics and following the fundamentals to minimize opportunities to fare evade in addition to these enforcement efforts. This includes ensuring that the rear doors remain closed unless passengers are exiting, the bus, or if there's an emergency. We don't want to invite people. We're ensuring that both the fare box and our Omni validators are fully operational during the pre-trip inspections before we leave the depot, and reporting in-service failures promptly. Over the last several weeks, there have been hundreds of operational staff deployed across the bus system, interacting with thousands of bus operators across the boroughs, observing, providing reminders to them about the importance of these basic steps. Moreover, our dispatchers will continue to closely monitor this as part of their normal duties. Our road operations team is fully engaged to make sure that we're providing robust and managing service for those routes that are under enforcement so that they avoid any sort of disruption to our paying customers. And also, you may have seen we began messaging just simple as on our fares required on our destination signs as a simple reminder to customers that you need to be prepared to pay a fare. The bus team is laser focused on this issue. We will continue to be out in the field supporting this effort, and I commend the efforts again of the Eagle team for the great work that they're performing out there. So I'll pass it back to Demetrius. Thanks.
Thanks, Frank. So what you see on the screen is one of the campaign that was launched on our digital channels. One, to show that we're doing something, what we're doing, and then two, was to recreate a sense of shared responsibility for fare payment. That, again, speaks to the culture, trying to change the culture of these individuals who are fare evading. These assets are now available on not just the bus side, but also in our subway system, and they play on a loop. on our digital information screens throughout our entire bus fleet. The image on the right is on our dynamic boards and in the subway system. Before launching this initiative on the buses, we also had a day of action where we spoke to riders, particularly at these locations, and said, we're going to be changing things up, so there was no surprise. We were out there for the rush periods where customers were to be in their space to deal with them directly. Look at that gentleman right there. He has it's a scary face. The first step is our fare inspections are now touching the trips of tens of thousands of riders every day, and we're beginning to see a real impact to what we're doing. Even in our first 2 weeks as we refined our deployment, we saw an increase of over 3,200 paid rides per day and a 4.6% increase in paid rides on routes where we're enforcing the fare relative to the rest of the system. So 4.6% increase in paid rides on the entire route, even when the folks are not there, right? So that's across the entire day. So it's definitely their work on those days are having meaningful impact. And there's no question, customers are responding. They are directing applauds to the, you see people driving by saying, it's about time, thank you guys for everything you're doing. You know, it speaks to the individuals who continue to pay and have been kind of dismayed by the fact that no one else or many individuals are not doing so. So we've gotten a lot of really positive feedback on this. Customers love it. I think it's interesting. We've also seen some TikTok videos of individuals who are social media presences, you know, telling them, you know, you pay your fare because you're going to get caught. Don't get caught up out there. And so I think that's it. We're excited about the impact of this. We've had a lot of conversations with the elected officials across the city, and many have expressed support for what we're doing. One council member in the Bronx even wanted me to go out and write tickets with her for people blocking bus lanes. I'm not saying that that's going to come, but I'm keeping everything in the toolbox for things that we can do for targeting this problem of fare evasion.
Andrew?
I'm wondering if Frank or Demetrius, if you've looked into when Omni is everywhere and people will be boarding from all doors, if there can be either an electric eye or something to indicate when someone is boarded and not tapped.
So I will say that having been out there and watched the Eagle team at many of the locations, it is extremely difficult to have individuals get on multiple doors and still pay. Right now, we have all-door boarding. Where we have all-door boarding on our express routes, it's one of the highest fare evasion routes. So they have the ability to pay, and again, are choosing not to pay.
We don't have a system now that indicates someone hasn't paid, like a buzzer doesn't go off or something, where the bus operator could stop the bus and say, pay your fare or we're not moving, or something to that effect.
I agree. I agree. I think the buzzer should be their conscience, right? Like, these individuals should be paying, and that there shouldn't be, an immediate response that system itself is the problem, as opposed to an individual who is taking steps to evade the fare. I agree. I just will say that at this point, I don't know what the future holds. I can only say what I see now, and customers, when given the opportunity to go in the rear door, are not paying.
Because when select buses are obviously all-door boarding now, but when we're all Omni and you don't have the option of buying that little paper ticket at the machine on the sidewalk and everyone is tapping, that's an easy way to see who's paid and who hasn't. If there's an electric eye or something that shows you haven't tapped, You've passed this point, but you haven't tapped. Just a suggestion.
Suggestion noted. Thank you.
Anyone else? I appreciate this is culturally driven. I agree with you, Andrew. We should be exhausting every way we can to make sure there's at least passive ways for detection to make sure that we're getting fare beaters. But all the cultural aspects and the fact that we now have, there are people who are on the buses that are rooting for people to pay their fares, right, and get upset when people are not paying their fares. And now that we have, but what's the old saying? It's hard to soar like an eagle when you're hanging with turkeys. Well, now we have the eagles. So the eagles are on the buses, and I hope that can encourage everyone to get on board with the eagles and ditch the turkeys. So, and I want to figure out where these guys train too. I'm going to come in and train with you guys one day. I know they're unarmed, but they got pretty good arms. So I think the cultural aspect with the technology, I think it's great that we're trying something. And I for one, look forward to hearing about, looking at how we're performing at the, over time, where the Eagle teams are deployed and are involved versus other stops, because we know we can't be everywhere. We're resource confined. So, Lisa?
Are we marketing the fact that we have plainclothes and the Eagle team are out there so that people start thinking about it before they jump on the buses?
Yes, so it is on screens on both in the buses and in the subway system. We also have done handouts on the buses. The Eagle team themselves have gone out in advance of major initiatives and handed out take ones to tell them what we're doing and why this is different and what their role is in fares. So we have done a lot of outreach to try to make sure everybody understands that this is required.
Is there anything else on this? Well, moving right along brings us to our Transit All-Stars. Yeah, it looks like we have a lot of All-Stars today.
So in the interest of time, we have an amazing group of All-Stars. This galley over here, we intended to announce each one and their amazing work, but I'd ask the entire group to stand. Folks from across subways, buses, security.
Look at you.
It has been there are not enough moments that we can take to say thank you for what you do. And just talking to one of the individuals earlier today, he said, I don't even know what I'm here for. And that's the point. Like, we should be doing more to recognize everything that you do, and it is greatly appreciated. We shouldn't just be getting you when there's a problem, but you should know how much we appreciate what you do. So thank you all, and appreciate you coming here today.
We will make time for our photo, though, right? Even if we get in trouble with Laura. Next, we have Deputy Chief Norman Grandstaff for Safety and Security Report.
Hey, good morning, Mr. Chu, President Critchlow, and members of the board. My name is Deputy Chief Norman Grandstaff. I'm the Executive Officer of the NYPD's Transit Bureau. Chief Kemper asked me to come today and present you the crime statistics for August, as he's out of town. So these will be somewhat abbreviated due to the crunch on time. All right, so you have before you the subway crime figures for the month of August, which show the subway system experienced 182 crimes last month, when compared to the 175 crimes from the last year. This reflects a 4% rise, or 7 incidents to be exact. When looking at the year-to-date crime through the end of August, the drop in subway crime continues with a 5.5% reduction, reflecting 81 less index crimes, 1,398 versus 1,479 within the transit system. On par with historical trends, grand larcenies continue to make up the majority of crimes that we see in the subway system. These crimes, best described as non-confrontational property theft, make up just over half of all crimes we are seeing in the system, 719 of the 1,398 crimes, or over 51%. Switching gears to the enforcement figures, you see that our officers are hard at work, confronting all manners of unlawful conduct within the subway system, with year-to-date arrests up 61% and summonses up 21%. Transit policing is often about curbing seemingly minor but unlawful acts and correcting those very acts with instruction and/or enforcement. We fully understand the ridership's desire for an orderly subway system and recognize that it is easily impacted by visible unlawful contact. That concludes my remarks. I'll gladly take any questions or comments that you may have.
Anyone have anything? Thank you, Deputy Chief. Moving on to procurement. Lou?
Yes, good morning. Good morning. Thank you. The transit procurement package this month includes two actions. The first is a request that the board declare competitive bidding impractical or inappropriate for the procurement of paratransit camera security systems for New York City Transit. And the reason is that it's in the public interest to issue a request for proposals pursuant to New York State Public Authorities Law 1209. The camera systems will consist of a series of cameras to be installed on each of the approximately 1,200 MTA-owned paratransit vehicles operated by the primary carriers. The video and images captured, along with a system health report, will be wirelessly uploaded to assist paratransit in enhancing the safety and security of its operators and customers, as well as address operational issues in real time to enhance customer service. Additionally, the systems will allow New York City Transit to view post-accident and incident video to evaluate the circumstances surrounding the accident or incident should a complaint or legal claim be filed. Utilizing the RFP process will allow New York City Transit to select a proposal that offers the best overall value through negotiations and evaluation based on criteria that reflect the critical needs of the authority. The second action is the modification of a contract with it's a lengthy name. They're doing business as Omni Rehab for the provision of eligibility assessment services for the paratransit department and the reduced fare program to add a new eligibility assessment center at 3 Stone Street in Lower Manhattan. Omni will provide licensed medical staff trained by Paratransit's eligibility determination unit. Applicants of Accessoride will be evaluated via an interview and/or performance of a functional assessment and provide Paratransit with a detailed report of their findings. This information will assist New York City Transit in determining applicant eligibility for the program. The Stone Street location, which is downstairs, to be utilized is building space currently leased by the MTA. The decision to utilize MTA leased space was prompted by the lack of adequate, affordable, and available space for an eligibility assessment center in Manhattan. The base contract period for this modification runs concurrent with the original base term, with an option to extend the term for up to an additional 2 years. The estimated amount for this award is $1.8 million for the base and $1.6 million for the 2 additional option years, totaling $3.4 million. MTA's cost price unit performed an analysis and deemed the average price per assessment for both the base and option period to be fair and reasonable. I submit these procurements for board approval.
Any questions for Lou on this procurement? I'd like anyone a motion? Lisa, second? Second. The doctor? All in favor? Any opposed, abstentions? So moved. Thank you. Thank you, Lou. With that, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn. Thank you. Thank you all. Oh, let me, here.